Motorcycles promise freedom, but behind the thrill are hard truths riders rarely share. From time lost to dangers you can't ignore, these lessons hit harder than the road itself. Stay tuned through all 10, because the final truth is the one every rider needs to hear. Number 10. Slow speed is harder than high speed. Ask any seasoned rider where true mastery shows itself, and they will rarely point to blazing down the interstate at 80 miles per hour. They will tell you that the proving ground of real skill is a parking lot at 5 miles per hour. At those crawling speeds, there is no wind to balance you, no momentum to keep the machine upright. It is just you, gravity, and a heavy motorcycle daring you to prove that you belong in the saddle. The throttle feels twitchier, the clutch demands delicate touch, and the rear brake becomes the secret weapon of balance. Riders who boast about ripping through mountain switchbacks are often the same ones who look clumsy when asked to perform a U-turn inside a 20-foot box. It is humbling when you watch a retired motor officer swing an 800-pound touring bike in a perfect circle while you wrestle your machine like a stubborn mule. That is the cold truth. Slow speed demands finesse, and finesse does not come naturally. Training courses try to prepare you, but they can only plant the seed. Real growth comes when you spend afternoons practicing figure eights, weaving between cones, and forcing yourself to master the friction zone. Minutes turn into hours, and each drop of sweat on your forehead becomes a silent investment in control. It is not glamorous, and nobody at the roadside diner will clap for you, but slow speed mastery keeps you from embarrassment and keeps your machine upright when the pavement tilts against you. What most riders never admit is that these low-speed maneuvers are exhausting. Your core muscles tense, your hands cramp from delicate inputs, and your eyes dart between the ground and the horizon trying to find balance. Confidence builds slowly, almost invisibly, until one day you realize that the very skill which once terrified you has become second nature. And once you've earned the confidence that comes from balancing at a crawl, you're faced with an entirely different challenge. Riding into conditions that don't test your balance, but test your will. Because the next opponent on the road isn't gravity, it's wind, and it shows no mercy. If that first truth opened your eyes, let's keep the conversation alive. Hit the like button so more riders see this, and drop a comment below with your hardest lesson from the road. Your story might be the very thing that helps another rider today. Number 9. Wind chill will break you before the miles do. The first time you roll out onto a chilly morning highway, you realize that the numbers on the weather forecast are liars. A car shields you from the elements, but a motorcycle strips away every comfort and throws you into raw battle with the wind. What feels like a mild 60 degrees while standing still transforms into bitter cold once you push past 50 miles per hour. At 70 miles per hour, the same air can feel as if it belongs in the heart of winter. That invisible force slices through your jacket, numbs your fingers, and makes you wonder how a sunny forecast could betray you so badly. Old-timers will tell you to dress in layers, but nobody really explains why. The reason is wind chill, the invisible thief of body heat. Even on days that appear harmless, the moving air robs warmth at an astonishing pace. A 30-minute commute can turn into a shivering ordeal, and a long-distance trip becomes an endurance test. Heated gloves, thermal shirts, and full liners suddenly make sense. You do not buy those accessories for vanity. You buy them because the elements will punish you without mercy. The human body reacts in strange ways when core temperature drops. Muscles stiffen, reaction time slows, and concentration fades. A rider who begins a trip sharp and confident may find himself sloppy and distracted 2 hours later. The danger is not just discomfort, it is the loss of focus at the exact moment precision is needed. Wind chill turns a pleasant ride into a gamble with safety. Veterans learn small tricks. Some wet their shirts in summer to cool down, while others carry chemical warmers for winter emergencies. Many swear by neck gaiters and windproof liners that trap heat where it matters most. The truth is simple. No matter the season, the wind is always trying to beat you. Every rider eventually learns that wind isn't just weather. It's an enemy that chips away at your strength and focus. And while you can layer up to fight the cold, there's no gear in the world that can help you win the battle against time. Don't just hear the hard truths. Ride smarter with the maintenance kit, rain setup, tire care, and even more that keep you moving. Link is in the description. Number 8. You'll never be on time again. Here is a truth about motorcycles that rarely gets mentioned when you first fall in love with riding. The clock does not play fair once you climb into the saddle. In a car, if a global positioning system device predicts a 6-hour trip, you can usually count on being fairly close to that number. On a motorcycle, that very same ride quietly stretches itself out until it feels like an entirely different journey. That 6 hours on paper becomes 8 or even 9 hours in reality. Nobody warns you how relentless the little details become, and each one steals more of your schedule than you ever thought possible. Every ride begins with gear. You do not simply grab your keys and walk out the door. You lace boots, slide into armored pants, strap on gloves, wrestle with a jacket, and finally lock down your helmet. That ritual alone devours 10 minutes, sometimes more, before a single mile is even ridden. Then comes fuel. Your motorcycle's tank drains far faster than a family sedan. Where a car might stretch 300 miles, your bike may beg for a refill before it even touches 150. Each stop turns into a ritual. Parking, dismounting, removing gloves, unlocking the seat, fueling, paying, suiting back up, and finally rolling away. The clock keeps ticking in unexpected places too. Your body demands more brakes because wind buffeting and vibration wear you down. At highway speed, that constant pressure on your chest and helmet is like sparring rounds in a boxing gym. Even the strongest riders eventually need to stretch, hydrate, or simply breathe in silence. When you add weather changes, unexpected detours, or heavy traffic into the mix, the hours stack up quickly. Soon you realize that the time estimate on a global positioning system is a fantasy. Real motorcycle time is always longer, slower, and heavier. The road stretches minutes into hours, teaching patience whether you want the lesson or not. But while you wrestle with lost time, you'll face another constant. Number 7. You'll drown in unsolicited advice. The very moment you throw a leg over your first motorcycle, it feels as if the entire world suddenly becomes filled with experts waiting to share their wisdom. At the gas station, a stranger will shuffle up and tell you a story about a cousin's neighbor who crashed in 1987. At work, a coworker who has not ridden in 20 years will lean against your cubicle and explain the real way to corner. At family gatherings, your aunt will frown and remind you of the uncle who supposedly broke both legs after ignoring a stop sign. None of these voices were invited, yet all of them arrive like clockwork. The advice comes in many forms. Some of it is harmless, like warnings to take it easy out there. Some of it is disguised bravado, usually from people who never actually completed a basic rider safety course. Then there are the horror stories meant to scare you away from riding entirely. The most frustrating category, however, is the confidently delivered but completely wrong tip. Someone will insist that downshifting should only be done in emergencies, or that leaning into corners is dangerous, or that loud pipes alone guarantee survival. The sheer volume of these myths could fill a library. At first, many riders soak up every word, desperate to learn, but eventually you realize that the best information does not come from parking lot philosophers. It comes from patient instructors, reputable courses, and your own hours of practice on an empty stretch of pavement. Ironically, some of that unsolicited advice may still contain a seed of truth. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, and occasionally a stranger's warning does spark caution at the right time. Still, learning how to separate good guidance from nonsense is as critical as learning to feather the clutch. And once you grow skilled at ignoring the chatter, the road throws the next reminder at you that protective gear matters far more than any conversation ever will. Number 6. The gear matters more than the bike. Every rider dreams about the perfect motorcycle, the one that looks fierce parked at the diner and feels alive on the highway. But here is a sobering truth. It is not the machine that saves your hide when the pavement suddenly reaches up to grab you. It is the gear. A jacket, a helmet, gloves, boots, and armored pants do not sparkle under the neon lights of a bar, but they are the only reason many men still walk after a crash that should have left them broken. Leather without armor is not enough. Denim jeans, no matter how thick, can tear open in a handful of seconds at only 25 miles per hour, leaving bare skin to grind against asphalt. A quality armored jacket can absorb the impact, sliding instead of shredding, and those extra layers of protection can mean the difference between a bruised elbow and months in a hospital bed. Helmets tell the same story. A simple fall at 15 miles per hour without one can be deadly. Yet with a full face helmet, that same incident might end with nothing more than a headache and a few scratches on the shell. Boots are often ignored, yet bones in the ankle and foot are fragile. Standard street shoes twist and shred instantly when a heavy machine pins you to the ground. A pair of purpose-built motorcycle boots with reinforced shanks and shin guards turn catastrophe into inconvenience. Even eyewear matters. A rider who wears ordinary sunglasses risks shattered glass near the eye, while shatterproof lenses built to American National Standards Institute ZEED 87.1 specifications can take a direct hit from flying gravel without breaking. Veterans of the road know that protective equipment is not vanity. It is the ultimate insurance policy, one you cash in when conditions turn against you. The gleam of chrome might win compliments at the gas station, but the gear you choose is what ensures you can still ride tomorrow. And once you finally respect the power of equipment more than horsepower, another lesson waits on the horizon. Number 5. Riding is physical work. The casual observer thinks a motorcycle glides forward with nothing more than a twist of the wrist. What they do not see is the hidden labor, the way your entire body engages as soon as the wheels start turning. Riding is not lounging behind a steering wheel. Riding is work. Every muscle plays a role, from the calves gripping the tank to the shoulders stabilizing the bars. Even your eyes and neck grow weary from scanning the road and holding steady against the push of the wind. A heavy touring motorcycle weighing 800 pounds demands that you brace and balance every time you roll through a parking lot. The act of picking one up after a tip over is a full body lift that rivals a session in a gym. Adventure bikes, often towering high on their suspension, punish your core each time you wrestle them through gravel or sand. Even smaller machines still require constant clutch and brake finesse, motions that tire hands and forearms after hours of repetition. Fatigue creeps in faster than most beginners ever expect. After 60 minutes of holding posture in the wind, your shoulders begin to burn. After 120 minutes of vibration through the seat and pegs, your lower back begs for mercy. Long days magnify the punishment, and riders learn that physical conditioning is not optional. Squats, deadlifts, planks, and flexibility exercises translate directly into stamina and control on the open road. The truth is that motorcycles test fitness as much as skill. You can have perfect technique, but without strength and endurance, your body will betray you. Riding does not demand that you live in a weight room, but it does demand respect for the physical toll. Every hour in the saddle is an unspoken workout. The better prepared you are, the safer and more enjoyable every ride becomes. And once you acknowledge that your body is part of the machine, the next reality arrives. Number 4. Your family will always worry. Even the strongest riders, the ones who carve mountains and laugh in the face of storms, cannot escape the invisible weight of family concern. From the very first day you announce that you bought a motorcycle, the questions begin. Is it safe? Do you wear a helmet? Why would you risk it? These questions are not born from malice. They are born from fear, and fear never takes a vacation. Mothers picture every headline they have ever read about accidents on country highways. Fathers pretend to nod approval while silently imagining twisted wreckage. Children may not say much, but they notice when you walk out the door in full riding gear. For them, Each ride feels like a gamble that could change their world forever. You may log 10,000 flawless miles without so much as a scratch, yet the worry inside your family never fades. To them, numbers on a calendar or digits on an odometer do not erase the risk. Each trip feels like another coin toss, and no amount of reassurance convinces them otherwise. The hard truth is that your passion becomes their burden. Some riders hide details, downplaying road trips or skipping stories about near misses. Others do the opposite, inviting family into the process, showing off safety courses, and displaying armored jackets like badges of responsibility. Neither approach erases the worry, but both are attempts to lighten it. Love creates anxiety, and that anxiety follows every mile you ride. There is also guilt. Riders often wrestle with empathy, wanting freedom yet hating the thought of making loved ones suffer silently. It is a tension that never fully disappears. Balancing the call of the road with the voices at home is part of the unspoken cost of this life. And once you finally accept that their fear is permanent, another sobering reality takes its place. The reason they worry is simple. The odds of survival on two wheels are far harsher than most riders care to admit. Number 3. The odds aren't in your favor. Few riders want to admit it out loud, but every time you swing a leg over the saddle, you are gambling against mathematics that lean heavily against you. Studies from National Highway Safety Administrations have repeated the same brutal truth for decades. A rider is roughly 30 times more likely to die in a crash compared to a driver surrounded by a steel cage of a car. That number is not a myth told by worried parents. It is a statistic carved into official reports year after year. You may ride flawlessly, but the numbers do not lie, and they are stacked against anyone traveling on two wheels. Most non-riders imagine that the danger comes from high-speed highways or reckless canyon carving. The reality is colder. Intersections are the true killing fields. The single most common fatal scenario involves another vehicle turning left in front of a motorcycle that the driver simply did not see. Bright daylight, wide streets, and even slow traffic do not erase the hazard. The danger rests in human inattention, and motorcycles pay the highest price when that moment of blindness occurs. Protective equipment, training, and defensive habits can reduce the risk, but they cannot erase it. A rider who hovers in blind spots, lingers beside tractor trailers, or pushes through intersections without caution is inviting catastrophe. That is why defensive riding becomes more than advice. It becomes survival. Positioning yourself where mirrors can catch you, wearing visible helmets in white or red, and keeping escape routes open are all strategies that claw back a sliver of advantage against the odds. The danger is not meant to scare you away from riding. It is meant to ground you in reality. Motorcycles will never be as safe as cars, and chasing equality in statistics is foolish. What you can do is play smarter inside a stacked deck. You respect the risk, you prepare for it, and you refuse to ride blindly into situations where another driver's mistake becomes your final chapter. And once you fully acknowledge how merciless the numbers can be, you begin to notice another enemy creeping silently into every long trip. Number 2, fatigue sneaks up faster than you expect. There comes a moment on every long ride when you realize the motorcycle is not the only machine running out of fuel. Your body, your mind, and even your concentration begin to fade far sooner than you ever imagined. Fatigue is the silent predator of motorcycling, and it creeps in without warning. The first hour often feels effortless, wind rushing across your helmet and the world opening in front of you. By the second hour, your shoulders begin to ache, your grip loosens, and you find yourself shifting in the seat just to stay comfortable. By the third hour, the tiredness becomes undeniable, and it is no longer simply a matter of discomfort. It is a matter of safety. Wind plays a larger role than most riders admit. At 60 miles per hour, the invisible wall pressing against your chest becomes exhausting. At 70 miles per hour, it feels like constant resistance training. Even behind a tall windshield, the endless buffeting never stops, and your muscles slowly wear down. Add vibration through the handlebars and pegs, combined with the rigid posture most bikes demand, and fatigue multiplies mile after mile. The consequences extend far beyond sore muscles. Reaction times lengthen. Focus drifts. Fatigue mimics the effects of alcohol in subtle but dangerous ways. The rider who ignores it risks the same outcome as the drunk driver, a moment of failure with catastrophic results. Veterans learn strategies to battle the creeping weight. Hydration is crucial, not only during the ride but beginning the day before. Earplugs fight wind noise that otherwise grinds away at concentration. Frequent breaks, even if only 5 minutes every hour, reset the body and sharpen the mind. Heated or cooled gear extends comfort, but awareness of limits remains the ultimate safeguard. The reality is that the motorcycle demands as much endurance from the rider as it does from the engine. Ignore your body, and fatigue will eventually claim control. Accept it, plan for it, and you extend both your range and your safety. And once fatigue teaches its lesson, another truth arrives. What begins as pastime transforms into obsession, a hunger that nothing else in life can satisfy. You've made it this far, and the most important truth is still waiting at number 1. Before we reveal it, make sure you subscribe right now. That way you never miss the next ride, the next lesson, or the insight that could change your journey forever. Number 1. It becomes addictive, and it never lets go. What begins as a curiosity often transforms into a hunger that reshapes your life. The first ride might be a weekend experiment, a borrowed helmet, and a short cruise around the block. The sensation is immediate and unforgettable. The road unrolling endlessly. Suddenly you realize this machine is not simply transportation, it is freedom. That first taste is enough to spark a craving, and once it takes root, it never loosens its grip. Over time, the addiction deepens. A short ride to clear your head becomes a 2-hour escape. A 2-hour escape evolves into a cross-country dream. Vacations no longer revolve around airports or beaches, but around twisting highways and distant fuel stops. Every free moment is measured in miles. Each paycheck seems to divide itself between household bills and the next piece of gear or upgrade that promises to make the next journey even more perfect. The addiction does not apologize, and it does not fade. The rush comes not only from speed, but from challenge. Mastering a difficult corner, handling a heavy bike at slow speed, or surviving a storm builds confidence that few other hobbies can match. Each success feeds the desire for more, and every setback becomes motivation to return to the saddle stronger. Unlike many passions, motorcycles do not grow dull. They intensify with every season, each mile feeding a deeper bond with the machine and the road itself. Family and friends may never understand why the call is so powerful. They will ask why you risk so much, why you sacrifice comfort, and why you spend long hours under the sun or in the rain. Riders know the answer cannot be explained in plain words. The addiction is spiritual as much as physical. It is therapy, escape, adventure, and identity rolled into one. When you finally acknowledge that riding has claimed you, the truth is undeniable. This passion is not a phase. It is not a hobby to be shelved. It is a lifelong addiction, and once it has taken hold, it will never let go. You've now heard the 10 truths nobody tells you about riding, and if even one of them hit home, it means you're part of this brotherhood of the road. Don't just ride in silence. Share your story in the comments so others can learn from your experience. Smash that like button if you value straight talk about motorcycling, and subscribe right now so you never miss the next lesson, tip, or hard truth we uncover. This channel is built for riders like you. Stick around because the journey is only just beginning.